Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football: A Love Story and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2016 NFL Draft mid-season mock draft. Now that the NFL season is at the midway point, let's take an early look, a very early look at the 2016 NFL Draft, and we're going to start this video off with the #1 overall selection. First, let's take a look at the mock draft rules. Number 1, these selections are not based off my final rankings. These are just observations that I think would be great fits for these squads. And number 2, these picks are based off what I would do as a GM if I were picking for these squads. And these picks are also based off what I perceive the team needs to be. I've looked at the rosters and also looked at the practice squad. So that's why you may not see a player go to a certain team, because I think they already have a guy on the roster. And finally, it's just a mock draft, so chill out. Don't be all up in your feelings. Don't have tender feelings. Don't be Mr. Sensitivity Ralph Tresvant talking about, well, why you got our team getting this guy and this guy has this guy ready. It's just a mock draft. Chill out. I don't want to hear it. It's a well thought out, well produced, well orchestrated mock draft that you will enjoy, because we do love doing these videos. And also shout out to Scott Karasik for putting together the draft order that we'll be utilizing for this particular mock draft. With the first pick in the draft, I went with Ohio State's Joey Bosa. I think Detroit will be fine on the interior, so bolstering the edges was my logic with this pick, and Bosa is a tremendous player that excels on both ends. I like the versatility of Jalen Ramsey's game. He can play corner or safety. In my opinion, he's better suited as a safety. Either way, he helps strengthen the Titans on the back end. Versatility and upside is why Robert Nkemdiche out of Ole Miss makes a lot of sense for Baltimore. Chris Canty is getting up there in age. Terrell Suggs is coming off another injury, so while adding quality depth, Nkemdiche can literally play anywhere up front and is athletic enough to drop back in coverage. He's probably the guy that has the most upside of any defensive player that's draft eligible. I went inside linebacker for the Browns with Notre Dame's Jalen Smith, who in my opinion is the best overall linebacker in college football right now. He'd be a star from day one. I'm a big fan of Tyler Boyd's game out of Pitt. I think his game is very similar to current Charger Keenan Allen. Boyd is a dangerous guy with the ball in his hands, and he and Allen would make a nightmare duo. The 49ers get help along the offensive line for their franchise quarterback Blaine Gabbert. I'm just joking. With Ole Miss stalwart Laramie Tunsil, and Tunsil is excellent in the pass protection department. It also brings a guard's mentality in the run game. The Jaguars need more threats in the secondary, and they get one of the best in the country in Vernon Hargreaves III, who is probably the most technically sound corner in college football. The Bears get better at the second level with Miles Jack out of UCLA. The super athletic Jack is scheme diverse and should be the next star linebacker in the Windy City. The Cowboys get the best back in college football in Ezekiel Elliott, and Elliott has complete game. He has the vision, the agility, the balance, and home run hitting capability, and won't leave any meat left on the bones. Despite what's going on at Ohio State this year, Cardale Jones is tailor-made for the pro game, and in my opinion has the edge over other draft-eligible prospects at the position. He's tough, he plays good situational football, and has all of the tools, both physical and mental, that you want at the position. This will give the Texans a guy that they can count on week in, week out. Mocking a receiver to Kansas City is like mocking a linebacker to the Giants. At some point, it will have to happen, and in this case, the Chiefs get themselves a premier target in Laquan Treadwell out of Ole Miss, whose game is similar to the Raiders receiver Michael Crabtree. The Colts strengthened their offensive line with Notre Dame's Ronnie Stanley, and I'm a big fan of his athleticism and versatility, and I think he can excel at either tackle spot.
I know he's only a redshirt sophomore, but he's still draft eligible. Mackenzie Alexander out of Clemson is a tremendous corner with ball skills, and the Dolphins have to start bringing in some youthful talent on the outside. I think the Bills get a steal here with Sua Cravens out of USC, and I think personally he's better suited as a strong safety because he also is solid in deep coverage because of his ball skills. Some say he's an outside linebacker. Either way, Rex Ryan gets to add a versatile game breaker to his defense. Tampa Bay runs up to the podium with any offensive lineman that's available. Just so happens that in this mock, Taylor Decker out of Ohio State is available, and he's one of the best in the nation that instantly upgrades the Bucs offensive line. Another squad in need of offensive line help is the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles take Texas A&M standout Jermaine Ifedi, a solid 6'5", 325-pounder with excellent footwork. The Redskins have to add more youth in the secondary, and Virginia Tech's Kendall Fuller is a great one to add to the mix. Despite coming off an injury, Fuller should still be a highly sought-after prospect. The Saints invested heavily on the defensive side of the football in last year's draft, and this year they strengthened the offensive line with guard Vidal Alexander out of LSU, who will likely grade out as the best guard in college football and would immediately upgrade the Saints' interior and be an impact player as a rookie. A lot of teams need help up front this season, and Seattle is definitely one of them. I think Baylor's Spencer Drango would be an awesome fit and addition to that Seahawks offensive line. In my opinion, the Giants need a running back, and I think getting one would definitely set off this offense in the right direction. And quietly, outside of Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry of Alabama may be the second most complete back in college football. He runs very well. He's a very underrated receiver and is excellent in blitz pickup. He'll give this Giants a legit threat in the backfield on all three downs. Pittsburgh is still in the process of overhauling the secondary, and there's Senquez Golson coming off IR. I like Doran Grant on the practice squad, so I went with the safety position and selected Jeremy Cash out of Duke, who has a knack for making big plays on both ends of defense. Long, athletic, and explosive on contact, that aptly describes Georgia's outside linebacker Leonard Floyd and his ability to get to the quarterback, and I think that will be a welcome addition to Gang Green's defense. The Raiders' resurgence can be directly tied to how well they've drafted over the last 3 seasons, and they add another good one here in inside linebacker Reggie Ragland out of Alabama, and adding Ragland will give the Raiders a ton of attitude within their front seven. The Rams add some explosiveness on the edges with TCU wide receiver Josh Doctson, a 6'2", 195-pound senior, is a big play waiting to happen and would round out the Rams' receiving corps. The Vikings get better up front with Clemson defensive end Shaq Lawson, and Lawson is a really good power rusher with more than enough quickness to win with multiple counter moves. To me, Oregon's defensive end DeForest Buckner is similar to Calais Campbell, who also plays for the Arizona Cardinals, and at 6'7", 290 pounds, Buckner plays with length, and I think that'll be the perfect situation for him to grow his game. I think Kendall Beckwith is a very underrated player. LSU's defense was struggling last year prior to the staff inserting Beckwith into the lineup, and the result, the run defense instantly got better and has stayed that way because of number 52. Kenny Clark out of UCLA probably disengages from blocks better than any defensive tackle in college football, which makes him disruptive, which should also make him a welcome addition to the Packers' defensive line. A scheme-diverse backer, I like Jordan Jenkins' fit in Cincinnati, especially on the strong side. Defensive coordinator Paul Gunther may run this pickup to the podium himself if he's still on the board. In my opinion, Kyle Friend out of Temple may be the best center in the country. The Broncos need help inside, and Friend would instantly become best friends with Peyton Manning and also the Broncos running backs. Finally, offensive line help for Cam Newton with Michigan State's Jack Conklin, a very good athlete coming out of the Spartan program, and this is an example of both style and skill meshing perfectly. I think he would be an ideal fit in Carolina. And since the Patriots don't have a first-round pick, in the second round I have them selecting big play wide receiver Michael Thomas out of Ohio State. His ability to play well in the deep passing game opens things up for everyone else underneath. This should help Tom Brady play another 10 seasons.